And that way anyone who joins us can pick it up later. All right, we are recording. Teresa, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for everyone joining. I'm a hot mess right now, but that is par for the course for me. Let me get you set up here. I'm Teresa Spittle. I'm joined tonight with Kimmy. I just got to call you Kimmy, but it's Kimberly. Kimberlia?
That is right. Kimberly.
Correct. I know her as Kimmy, and she's awesome. And T.E.A. Charles. We're all coaches, which is so exciting with LuLaRoe. I've been doing this just over a year, and I'll let the other girls introduce themselves, but we decided at leadership that we wanted to come together and try to kill three birds with one stone, and join our teams together, because we are more powerful as a trio than we are on our own, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So this is a great opportunity for us to help each other, and to help each other's teams and to grow. And we naturally thought, just coming off of leadership, to be a leader, it is a rank, but it's just a title. And you should start that as soon as possible. Your actions as a leader does not matter how many people are on your team, but that segues us into, that is actually the topic of what we're talking about tonight, which is team building. So I'm going to let the other ladies kind of introduce themselves, tell a little bit about how long you guys have been with LuLaRoe, and yeah, whatever you want to throw in, and then we'll get the ball rolling.
There you go. Ahead.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is T.E.A. Charles. I am from Franklin, Massachusetts, and I am a coach with LuLaRoe. I started LuLaRoe April of 2015, and it's just been a really awesome ride. And like Teresa said, we really wanted to build our teams up, and we thought the best way to do that is to join forces. So I'm really excited for this webinar series that we're going to be doing. We're going to be trying to do these on Thursday nights, so keep your calendar open, and that's it.
Hi guys, I'm Kimberlia Bingham. Everyone calls me Kimmy, so please call me Kimmy. I've been with LuLaRoe since August of 2015. I became a coach just a couple months ago, and yeah, it's great. It's amazing how quickly one can advance through the ranks, but how much time, work, and effort and sacrifice goes into that. It is something that the three of us definitely work on hard. Three of us, we all were working full time and doing this on the side. It is possible to kind of go through the ranks, work full time, and still grow your team. Again, it does take a lot of hard work and sacrifice, but we're all proof that you can do it. Now, luckily, I am now full-time LuLaRoe as of just about a month ago, and which is a crazy, exciting, and scary step. But we hope you guys can learn a little bit from what we're doing here tonight. T, I'm going to send it back to you.
Okay, awesome. So we've kind of broken down the format of tonight's webinar into a couple different topics, and we're each going to start talking about some things, and then we will also kind of collaborate. I think would be good to throw in some thoughts, as I know I'm a little bit scatterbrained tonight because I almost electrocuted myself, but this is the story of my life. So, I'm going to rely on Kimmy and T.E.A. To just kind of help me out here, but what we discussed, and I don't have my phone notes, I apologize because I'm on my phone right now, but I'm going to just kind of start the ball rolling with how to kind of engage your potential team members, or we sometimes call them recruits, or your customers turned team members, how to get the ball rolling with getting your team started. So of course that starts with posting the opportunity in your VIP group, but that's not where it ends. I try to talk about the opportunity as much as I can. And that's not being a salesperson and selling the business. It's more along the lines of, what has LuLaRoe done for me? And you can do that in a very tongue-in-cheek kind of way by saying, because of LuLaRoe, I've been able to do this with my family, and I'm thinking about leaving my full-time job, or the kinds of opportunities that you've been rewarded with by taking this leap of faith with LuLaRoe. So at pop-up parties, definitely just, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't put out one of those opportunity flyers. That just doesn't work for me. It doesn't kind of fit my personality. But I will be very open about what it's done for me, the changes that have come through my soul, through my family, financial freedom. I talk very freely about that. I'm 100% honest when it comes to that kind of thing. So I think the more real you are with the opportunity, and just not presenting it like a sales pitch, but more just like a real person. I mean, we are all real women. We have our daily struggles. My customers, clients, friends, team members, they just appreciate when I'm honest. And that sometimes is sharing, a little bit of the hard work and what it takes to get here. So that being said, I share the opportunity at pop-ups just by talking about it, by talking about what I do with LuLaRoe. When it comes to my VIP group, I would like to work on posting more about the opportunity, but I find that if I take a little bit of time in between like each post, I feel a little less salesy and a little bit more real. And I get a lot more reaction and interaction from my group when I kind of space out those opportunity posts. So I'm not asking every day if somebody wants to learn about the opportunity. Something I did yesterday was I made a post about the new onboarding package because I was sharing it with my team, and somebody said, this is probably the best package that they've offered yet. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to roll with that. I'm going to post how good this package is and just kind of entertain the idea of how much you're getting for your money when it comes to the investment. So when I made the post, I said, I have this information. I would love to share it with you. I think it's really great. Just let me know if you want me to send you some no pressure information about the opportunity. And then I also always share my why. I share it whenever I'm posting the opportunity. Again, it feels less salesy and a little bit more real talk, one-on-one. I'm a real person. I'm going to be able to quit my job. I haven't announced that in my VIP group, but I am quitting my full-time job because of LuLaRoe. So I will have more time with my family. To kind of hint at that, like, this opportunity has given me more time with my family, or we've been able to buy our dream home, and we can do all these things, vacations, whatever it is. So I simply ask them to comment if they're interested. And then I follow up with them in a private message asking for their email, telling them I'm so excited to share the opportunity with them. And I have a pre-written out opportunity email, and I highly encourage you guys to just go ahead and write down, type up a document so that you can quick send it off. You don't have to type it up every time you send an email. I always personalize the email with that person's name. I usually put their name in the subject line because we all know that email addresses can be confusing and you will forget who you're talking to. So address it very personally. Hey, I'm so glad. Hey, Thea, I'm so glad you're excited about the opportunity. Let me tell you what LuLaRoe's done for me. And we always talk about our why. So I always can include the why in those opportunity emails. I talk about when LuLaRoe found me. I didn't realize I needed it, but now I know that it was there for me at the perfect time. So share just your personal experience. Another thing somebody taught me early on with sharing the opportunity is how important it is to ask that person why they're drawn to LuLaRoe as a company, as a brand, and as an opportunity for them to make money. Don't just throw it out as a sales pitch. Ask them why they're interested and why they asked you for more information. Engage them. Make them want to email you back, because you could just be sending out a lot of information for nothing. But I like to encourage a response back. So don't make it all about me, make it about them. And then in the opportunity email, I usually include now still the consultant agreement so that they have a chance to read over it. Even though they'll receive that from a DocuSign from LuLaRoe now, and mostly everything's done in the link. You can include your link in the original email. I've heard some differing opinions about the link, that some people believe that you shouldn't even entertain recruiting someone or giving information until they've signed up with your link. I'm not sure I'm 100% on board with that. I have not really taken that approach, because I tend to think that maybe there needs to be a connection there. It can't just be, I want this person and I'm going to get them and I'm going to hook them and they're going to be stuck with me. Like, I don't want people like that on my team, and I certainly wouldn't want to be recruited in that way. So I include the consultant agreement just for them to read. I include the newest package, which we just got a new one yesterday, the 2nd of November. And I also include the business overview. All of those files are available on the Wicked Rower page that's run by Kara Lyons in the file section. So I include all 3 of those. Again, just a rundown of my why, how scared I was when I started LuLaRoe and about the investment, and how quickly I pay the investment off is another thing I like to kind of maybe brag on a little bit, and how good the sales are right now. I also like to kind of talk about what you're getting for your money. You're not just throwing out $5,000 and getting a little bit of inventory. You're getting a lot of pieces, and maybe kind of encourage them to think about what it's really worth and the work that's going to take to pay it off. And then I include all of the documents that I spoke about before. So do you ladies have anything to add to the opportunity post or the opportunity emails?
I think it's like a huge thing. I remember listening to Amy Lee Westervelt and Kara do a webinar on this a long time ago. And, you know, a lot of times people will ask, well, how did you grow your team, or how did you grow such a big team? And, you know, a lot of our answers are, we really didn't set out to do that. It happened organically. And I think that's the way you want it to happen. The best way to draw people to you and your team is to live LuLaRoe every day. You know, obviously that means wearing it. It means promoting it. It means talking to your friends and family about it. I know some people get into this business and are uncomfortable reaching out to friends and family about, you know, the company and what it's done for you. And there's nothing wrong with showing that off. There's nothing wrong with, you know, pictures on Facebook, on your personal page, Facebook, when you meet people in real life and saying, oh yeah, we got to take my kids to Disney, you know, because I found this really cool, great clothing company. Or, you know, I felt awful about myself after having, you know, my 2 kids, and I put up this Amelia on and I felt, oh my God, magic wand, I feel awesome. That's okay to share. And I think, you know, when you're kind of sharing the positive, and the key is be positive. That's where all the stuff with social media comes into play that LuLaRoe always talks about. Be positive on your personal Facebook page. Be positive on your personal Instagram. Be positive in real life, because people are drawn to positive. And we're not saying that it's all puppies and rainbows, because we all know it's not all puppies and rainbows. But if you portray that, more people are going to be drawn to you. They're going to be drawn to your team. You know, I also make it a big point, like, you know, I know your teams are like this too. Our team is a community. We're like a little family. And I make sure that that is one of the things that I mention and I talk about when I talk to a potential recruit, that they're not only gaining, you know, me as a sponsor or, you know, me as a person. If you've got a few people on your team and you've created that kind of community, there's no problem with talking about that. Make sure that you share with them that, you know, it's, they're joining kind of a little family that they're going to get support from. They're not just getting ideas from you. They're going to be a bunch of awesome women and men they can bounce off ideas on. And that's a cool thing to be able to share with people.
Yeah, I love that, Kimmy. I just want to add to that, to your point about being positive. Sometimes we get, and you guys can probably relate to me, and those of you who are sponsors or trainers even can probably relate to, you know, when you're trying to be positive as a leader and trying to portray that to your team is probably the hardest part, because they know the hard and the negatives and the speed bumps. They know the down and dirty, and they're like, why are you being so positive? But I want you to just, when you're in that moment, if you are falling victim, if you're that person, I want you to take yourself out of that and think about the most successful consultant that you know and the most successful consultants in this company. Are they running around asking why me, or are they the positive rainbows, butterflies, and just silver lining people? So just try to make yourself, put yourself in that mindset that being positive, it really does change your whole outlook on life. And it's not just about LuLaRoe, like it's in everything. So just think about those really successful consultants. They're not the ones walking around with their head down, asking why they didn't get Halloween leggings or why they don't have tall and curvy leggings, for example. They're thinking of, what can I do with what I have? So just try to put yourself in that mindset. And I guarantee you, people will be drawn to that as team members, as future business women or business women and future consultants and future team members. They're drawn to positivity. It's contagious, just as negativity is contagious. I don't want to be on a team with a leader who's negative. I can tell you that right now. So just try to keep that mindset. It's so important. And sometimes it's really super annoying. I know, because I get down too. I get down, but like when I have people out there that are lifting me up, I'm surrounding myself with positive people. It lifts me up. I get out of the funk eventually. We're all guilty of this. But just surround yourself with people that lift you up and try to be that silver lining person. As hard as it is, just try to be that person. Okay, that's all I have.
To piggyback off that a little bit, I always think about my circle of control. So I always think about what it is that I can do to make my situation better. So, I didn't get Mimi's. Okay, that's cool. I've got these awesome Sarahs. You just think about what you have. You have so much that you don't need to focus on the negative parts, because that'll just bring you down. And then to go back a little bit on how I talk to people. So I do send emails sometimes, but a lot of times I just like to pick up the phone. Like, oh, are you available? I want to talk to someone so that I'm answering their concerns and what they're looking for in the business, rather than putting in maybe $5,000 isn't a lot of money to them. That's not what they're worried about, So everyone's coming from a different place. So I really like to speak to people one-on-one, even if it's like a Facebook chat, but I prefer the phone, because then you can really hear what somebody's thinking.
And I think that goes a long way too. That says a lot about you as a sponsor and you as a person. Like if they're local to you, meet them for coffee, meet them for lunch, sit down and talk to them. If they're on the fence about the opportunity, say, okay, hey, can I give you a call? Can we talk about this in person? Is their husband not on board? Offer your husband, if they're on board with that, to talk to their husband. There's so many ways, the opportunity is just like our sales. In-home rules all. Like those personal connections and personal relationships are huge. And, a lot of members of my team may have started off as an online Facebook message or something like that, but we got on the phone, we talk, we text, we do however it works for them. We have dinners. Like when you start to grow and build your team, again, that sense of community is so huge. And it can start with sharing the opportunity by a phone call, because people just get a sense of who you are and your voice, and learn about who they are when you're sharing the opportunity too. If you're in a conversation with someone about joining, learn what they're interested in. Are they married? Do they have kids? That could help you along the way make a connection with them. And you want that connection to be strong, because you're teaching them how to run this business. And that's a huge responsibility on your part. When you sign someone up in this business, that you are now taking some part of a responsibility in their business and teaching them how to be successful. And if you've made that personal connection with them and you've talked to them on the phone or over coffee or whatever, that is going to be a whole lot easier to then help them along and help them be a success in their business.
That's awesome. I think that's how we build trust as consultants, as team leaders, and I am guilty. I need to pick up the phone more. I'm glad you said that, Thea, because I do rely a lot on email just because of my time constraint right now. But my goal is definitely to pick up the phone more. So, and I do think there's something about that personal connection, like you guys said, in the in-home pop-ups. So, just build that trust if you build that trust with your customers, your team is going to grow from that. They're going to see you're a real person. They're going to see your successes. They're going to be happy for you when you succeed. And that is the culture. That is our culture, is being happy when someone is doing well, and lifting them when they're not. So
I think we're talking a lot about attitude in this. And I think, probably a few of you sign on thinking, okay, there's some magic equation or magic formula to adding people to a team or advancing rank and stuff like that. And there's really not. The formula really is attitude. It shows through in your sales with your customers, and it shows through with people who are interested in approaching you about the opportunity. I'm really personal with my customers, and that's where a lot of my team members came from. I'm not, I know some people aren't necessarily comfortable with that, but part of sharing sharing this opportunity is sharing yourself too. I mean, they're going to get to know you. They're going to get to know your family. And where that kind of starts is with your customers. I mean, you don't have to share all the nitty gritty, down and dirty details, but being comfortable sharing your personal whys and your story and what's going on in your life. Like one of my greatest engagement posts ever, and I think I got one of my team members from it, was like a picture of me and my kid screaming. Like, I mean, that's real life for a lot of us. Here I am trying to drink my coffee, comfy clothes, and my toddler screaming for God only knows what. But that portrays me as a real person. I'm not that person dressing up in their clothes and going to work every day. I'm that same person trying to get a warm cup of coffee in my house. And, that sharing those silly little moments will create connections for you with your customers, who then might be comfortable saying, well, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Right. And think about why you chose your sponsor. You probably didn't choose her because she posted a post. You probably chose her because you felt a connection. Mm-hmm. That's the whole part of this entire business, is connections, whether you're connecting with your customers, connecting with your teammates. It's all about being social.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it. Do you want to talk a little bit about the responsibilities of once you do become a sponsor and kind of taking that to the next level?
Sure. So as a sponsor, your main purpose is to guide and support the person that you just brought into this company. You're their trainer. You're there to teach them about Audrey. You're there to teach them about, I don't even know, anything that they're asking you for. You're not necessarily there to run their business for them. That's definitely not your role, but your role is to be there as a support. And you're a trainer. I know we have different ranks like sponsor and trainer, but when you get to the rank of trainer, it just means that you've trained a lot of people already successfully. So, I don't know, do you guys have anything you want to add?
I think the important thing with sponsor is that you at that point really need to embrace a partnership with LuLaRoe. Remember that they are not our bosses. We are not their employees. We are working in a partnership and in tandem together. And when you agree to bring someone into this business, you're agreeing to really support LuLaRoe as partners. Again, negativity can be contagious. So if you're constantly down, oh, they're out of stock of this, out of stock of that. I'm not saying puppies and rainbows, and there's definitely a time and a place to vent. But a huge part of that is you have to embrace that LuLaRoe has our backs. We're partners with them. And when you're bringing someone into that business, you need to impart that upon them too, because I think any of when you become successful in this business is because you really do believe in that partnership. And you're supposed to help them on their road to success. So I think it's a good, smart way, to kind of, do that for them, is to make sure that you're portraying that as well.
Right. And you always have to act like the rank that you want to become. So before you're a sponsor, you should be doing things like making sure you're on not the opportunity call, on the weekly calls with home office, or at least reading the notes, making sure that you're plugged in with your team and the trainings, so that when you do have someone underneath you, you're able to guide them the right way and be able to tell them, or at least know where to find the right resources to help them out.
And I think, probably many of you on here are probably already sponsors. So ladies, we probably can maybe talk about the difference between sponsor and trainer a little bit. There are guidelines, and you can find them in Fashion Fundamentals. If you haven't checked out that website yet, please do. It's awesome. But there is kind of a rundown and a list, and I admittedly don't have it right here in front of me. But there are some differences between sponsor and trainer. Sponsors are supposed to educate, answer questions, get people into the business. Well, trainers take on a larger level. For you guys who are aiming for that, obviously trainers are, people with 10 or more on their team who are also hitting, a group volume. Their team is ordering 1750 or more in items a month, at least for right now. And, we've been told on the call this week that it will go to sales-based at some point. We don't know when, we don't know how, but that will happen. And your responsibilities as trainer changes. Now, how do you get to trainer? Well, most likely, you're continuing to share the opportunity. As you're building your team, you want to think about going wide and not deep. So, you want to encourage your directs to start offering the opportunity to whoever they want and having them bring people on board, because that will help you in the long term. But you should also look at continuing to kind of grow your team of directs. So at some point, you hope that the people you sponsor are going to become trainers, and then at that point you lose their team volume, and it just doesn't, you're graduating them off into the world of leadership and moving them forward. So it's good to have kind of a well-rounded, wider team. so when you get to that point, you do add additional responsibilities. I think, some of the responsibilities they say is trainers should be doing one kind of training a week, whether it's webinar, in person, something to that effect. They're obviously conveying all information from home office. And they're also doing a little bit more of, lifting and challenging of their teams through challenges and talks and inspiration and stuff like that. You're now responsible for helping a larger group of people succeed in their business. T, what would you add for that?
I would just add, that you can start acting like that before you hit ranks. And we did hit on that. One of the things I learned at this last leadership, and not necessarily that I learned, but it really hit home with me, was that it's not about your rank that you've been assigned by the company. It's about your actions. It's about how you treat other people. It's about wanting to help other people succeed and thinking outwardly instead of inward. So I know that I have a team full of mentors. I know that. And the people will come. They will come if you just keep those actions and really live them. We have such a huge responsibility when we take people on. And let's be honest, there's 45,000 consultants in this business right now. They could have signed up with anybody. You are responsible for giving them 100% to get them where they need to be or where they want to be. It's also really important. And I learned this one. I learned a lot at leadership. Talking to Kim Roylance, I had a question about how do I get these girls to order? How do I get them to order? And she said, well, do you want them to order what you want them to order, or do you want them to order what they want to order? So really understanding your team's goals and what they want out of their business is so different from what I want out of my business, or what I want them. You can't want anything more than they want something for themselves. So it's a huge responsibility to understand what they want out of it and help them reach those goals, because all of our goals are different and they're always changing. So we need to have an open communication across the board. But I just can't stress enough how important it is when you bring somebody on that you give them your attention. And certainly being at our level now, and not that it's like, at the coach level, we get a lot of girls that come to us, and maybe I'll speak for myself. They come to me and say, I'm not getting the best answers from my sponsor. Can you help me? Of course, I will always be there, because that's what a leader should do. But you guys need to take responsibility also for your team members, because it not only does it help us by freeing up some time for our directs, but it's your responsibility. That's why you get a bonus check. And that's why they chose you, because they trusted you. So just fill that need.
They have a connection with you. So it's all back to what we started from the very beginning. It's all about, making sure that you know that person. So you need to be able to talk to them and know why they're doing LuLaRoe and why they want to be here, what their goals are, so you can help them reach it. And as a sponsor, that's your job, is to help them reach their goals and see their own potential.
Right. I do think too, it's never too early to hold your own mini opportunity calls. You can get a free Zoom account. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think it cuts off after like 45 minutes or something like that, but you can definitely still do it. And it doesn't need to be that long.
Right. And 45 minutes is probably too long for an opportunity call. So sign up for a free Zoom account. I challenge all of you to do your own mini opportunity call. Partner up with somebody on your team and get, kill two birds with one stone. Get all of your potentials who've been asking you questions or have been sitting on the opportunity and not really ready to sign up. Get them all on a free Zoom webinar and see their faces and talk to them and answer their questions in real time. And you never know what questions will come up. Our team started doing mini opportunity calls, and I've been able to see who's stepping up as leaders on my team, because they're stepping up to co-host. And then it's the watch one, do one, teach one. I hosted one with one of my girls, Lizette, and she did awesome. And she took everybody under her wing, and she has a private message conversation with all of them still, and is answering their questions in real time. Some of them have gotten into the queue and they're still in there, and they're actually, some of them got their calls already. So it's an ongoing thing. You don't just offer them the opportunity, they say no, and that's it. Like, it's usually like, well, I'll think about it, I'm not really ready yet, or I just need to be like, I need to have that like aha moment that this is it for me. And that's another thing to remember when you're offering the opportunity is you can't want it for somebody else. They may say, I need to think about it, or I don't know if I have the time for it. You really don't want to sign somebody up if they're not 100% in, because I don't want anyone to fail on a $5,000 investment at all. I don't want that on my conscience. And so you want them to be in it for the right reasons, and you want them to be trusting of you, and you want them to be confident that this is the right move. So yeah, I challenge you all to do a mini opportunity call. I think it'd be great. And I'm sure that any one of us, even across lines, I would be happy to, sit on a call with anybody on this webinar, no matter who they're under, as long as Kimmy and Thea are cool with it.
Of course.
We set it up. Like, I would love that. So maybe we should just set up our own mini opportunity call. But I really want to see who steps up and does it. So I'm actually going to offer a challenge right now. Okay. Not for Thea or Kimmy. If you're on a webinar and you set up a mini opportunity call within the next week, so let's say by next Friday, the 11th, set up a mini opportunity call and just let us know that you did it. We totally trust you. Tell us who was on it. I would love to give something away. I've got tons of promo stuff. I will send you something really cool, or maybe a special gift card, or maybe something even better. But definitely check in with us. Let us know how it goes. If you want us on, we would be glad to join you. I would be so thrilled if one of my girls, or even 2 or like 10 of my girls, did a mini opportunity call. It just shows us that you believe in yourselves. You've got something out of this training. We just really want to see you succeed. We're at the point when you start to hit rank in LuLaRoe, your why changes. It becomes so much less about us and more about you all. And so for that reason, we want to see you stepping out of your comfort zone and really pushing to succeed. That is what this is all about. We want you guys to be with us. Like, we want you at leadership next year. We want you at all the things. Like, we want you there. So there's your challenge from me. I'm sure the other girls will step in too and be right there with me. But we want to. I really think you all can do it. So keep us.
I'm willing to throw in on that challenge too, because seriously, like, sometimes people don't want to approach you on a one-on-one state either to ask about the opportunity, but they're really happy to sign on to a webinar or a call to listen, and then they might feel they do have a connection with you and want to move forward. So I think those are so important, and Teresa's so right. As you move along, this is not about us anymore. It's about all of you guys and helping you guys succeed and build these happy little communities. Like, there's nothing better in my day when one of my team members come to me and say, I kicked butt doing this, or I had the best sale of my life, or this in-home was amazing, or I had this great lollipop moment. I gave this woman a pair of leggings and she cried. Like, those are the things that make our days, because we want to see and help you guys succeed. I should also say that there is a little chat bar at the bottom too. If you guys have any questions for any of us in the middle of all this, please go ahead and type away, because we'd be happy to answer them. We're here for you guys. So I definitely am in on that.
Yeah, just a little tip for the mini opportunity call. I would not post your link to your Zoom to your VIP page. Like, don't do that, because you could get people who are just on it to be nosy.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want randos. You want people to be genuinely interested. So maybe post about it and say, hey, I'm going to do this week, and I would love to have you all. If you're interested, or if you thought about the opportunity, or maybe I've sent you the opportunity already, now's a good time to follow up on those emails or calls or whatever, text messages. Follow up with those people and say, hey, I'm doing this opportunity call. I'd love to answer your questions. Maybe, you'd love to see the new package. We have a new package you can totally push. So maybe, like, what we did last time was I had my team all post about the call. And then when they had serious inquiries, like, people were like, hey, send me some info. Then we sent the link in a private message. We didn't post that link, because you'll end up with 100 people, if that's even possible, on a Zoom. And some of them will just be wanting to know how much, leggings are at wholesale. So I would just keep it to genuinely interested persons. I can't see the chat, so you guys are going to have to help me.
All right, so we have a question from Megan. Megan says, I'm concerned about taking care of the team I have more so than building a team at the moment. I have questions about my current team. I'm not quite confident enough in my leadership to try to gain more at the moment. Let me tell you, all of us we talked about this. Everybody feels slightly inadequate as a leader. But the thing is, you're probably a better leader than you think you are. There are people looking up to you, and I'm sure that you are probably really successful and you're doing really well, and they're just really looking to you to sponge off you, to find out what you're doing. So I know it's really, you probably just, at least I'll just speak for me. I just feel I'm just Thea. I'm nothing special. I'm just Thea. But people are looking to you, and I know that sometimes I feel like I can do this, and you really can. Anyone can do this. I don't know. You guys want to add anything? I'm rambling.
No, I mean, and Megan, I think the same thing. I every time I think these girls probably know better than anyone that we always sit there and say, okay, how can we do this? How do we end up in this position? And I think a lot of leaders in this company feel the same way. And the best thing is, the reason why you're in this position is because people were drawn to you. Like Thea said, they saw something in you that made them feel confident in you. And the best you can do is relay your information, help them when they need help, lift them when they're down, give them inspiration. You need to follow, set the example that you want them to follow. And, as long as you're kind of doing that, the rest comes. A lot of this is building, a lot of leadership in LuLaRoe is building people up. I mean, that's the main thing that we do. We want everyone to be happy. We want everyone to be successful. And, if you're committed to doing that, and it sounds kind of vague, that's basically the key to it. As Thea said, I'm just Kimmy. And Teresa's just Teresa. And we're just, we're learning as we go too. I mean, remember, this is a brand new company. We're still in the first few years. I mean, even our mentors are figuring out how to be leaders. They'll tell you that any day of the week. Just keep relaying and keep helping. And, that comes, the confidence comes. I was not confident for a very long time. And at some point it comes and you realize that you're worth doing this, and it's worth doing it.
And it's okay to not have all the answers.
Yeah, 100%.
And, you just ask other people. That's why you'll have a community of people that can help you out. Another thing that I sometimes do is I tell people all the terrible mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
That's another way to learn. We've done this long enough where we've all made mistakes. So just share what you have. Just give all the knowledge that you have and just share it. And, just be free with that.
I remember Carol, sorry, go ahead, T.
No, that's okay.
Oh, just Kara told me before, the first time I ever did a training for my team, an in-person training, that, Kenny once told her that people just are hungry to hear what you have to say. And they want the knowledge that you have, and they want someone to share that with them, and to not worry that if it's good enough or big enough that, people just want the information and they want to feel heard.
I think that's awesome, Kimmy. I think that's such a good point. I was just going to say that sometimes when I'm feeling inadequate, or I'm feeling like I haven't given enough to my team, by the way, there's no measurement for that. If somebody on my team is feeling like they're not getting enough from me, I hope that they would tell me. But if I'm feeling inadequate, or I'm feeling like I need to do more, I find that I get lifted up from my pop-ups. I get a fire lit in me. I also get lifted from just reaching out personally to people on my team. So, my battery's gonna go down. Okay, hi, sorry. So reaching out personally, not, I would think a lot of you might have your own team pages, but rather than doing a team post to everyone, reach out to a couple people at a time, and send a personal message or a phone call, or just something to just make that connection, because sometimes our inadequacies.
You got it.
Inadequacies? Is that really a word?
Inadequacies.
We'll go with it.
We'll go later.
Sometimes that's just stem from us feeling like we're not good enough, and just making that connection one-on-one, it really lifts me up and it makes me feel like, okay, I can do this. It doesn't take that much time to just reach out to somebody and ask them how they're doing. It's the outward mindset. It's not about you, it's about them. So stop thinking about how Teresa is inadequate. I need to stop thinking that way. And I need to start thinking, what can I do to help my team? Because if I'm feeling this way, then maybe they are too. And a lot of times I'll get really good feedback like, hey, you know what's the best thing? I love when somebody says, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, thank you. I don't know how I do it either. So just reach out and just have a real person conversation. And that really does lift me up, just having somebody else to talk to who knows what I'm going through. And also I rely on these girls, Kimmy and Thea. We have our own little private message that we can just talk to each other, and we know what each other is going through most days. So have like a little, I don't know, what do you call that? Buddy?
Yes. Accountability partner, maybe?
Yeah, we're on that.
Ladies, there's a lot of questions about how to turn around the victim mindset and how to get those who aren't maybe on the happy train a little bit on board. T, can you speak at all to that?
I totally speak to this because I learned this from Jamie Bagley on the cruise last year, and I did not put it into practice, shame on me, but it's the feel, felt, found method. And I had one of my directs, I'm not going to call her out, but one of my directs told me face to face, she said, I told you one day that I was really upset with all the dupes I got, and you were just all I responded with, and I feel horrible for even admitting to this. All I said was, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. And she was really mad at me. So she told me, and I got so much out of her telling me that. So the feel, felt, found method with your team, am I on the right track here with the question?
Yes, go for it.
So the feel, felt, found method is, I'm sorry. I know how you feel. I've felt that way before, but here's what I found. And it's taking it as you're sympathizing or empathizing with what they're going through, because let's be honest, we have all been through it, right?
100%.
Droughts, we've been through the non-payments, we've been through duplicate payments, we've been through missed orders, we've all been through it. So I know that I can say, gosh, I should probably knock on wood, but I can probably say that I've felt that way that they felt before. Telling them that you understand how they feel validates their feelings. Telling them that you felt that way before makes them realize they're not alone. And showing them what you found in the situation that you were in helps them find a resolution, or that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that everything will be okay. So I love the feel, felt, found method. And I wish I would have put it into practice sooner. But if you take, oh, good, Bethany. I just saw your pop up. If you take that, I think, and use it in practice with your team, whether you have one person or 300 people, it will help you to no end. Because people sometimes just want to be heard. And it's so important to hear them and listen to them.
I think another thing that really helps too, especially if you're a new leader with a few people on your team, maybe have like a book club and do The Power of TED somewhere and kind of actually discuss it and go through it. I know it's so cliche and we say it over and over again, but really, I mean, every time I have someone read that darn book, they come back with oh my God, I was totally playing the victim. I can turn the situation around. I find it really empowering. And I think especially if you're a new leader, that book can go really a long way, especially with your directs, because they're going to be teaching the same thing to their teams too, along the line somewhere. Lacey, you're mentioning the 4 lenses training, and maybe ladies, that's one we do for one of our series here, because I think that's really important. If you guys don't know, the 4 lenses is kind of like a personality test type thing, and you can kind of put your team through it, and you can see how people look at the world. Like, for example, I know Thea's a green, and I'm a blue, and Teresa's an orange, so we're all 3 different lenses. We all look at problems and circumstances a lot differently, and when we are dealing with our teams, if you kind of have an idea of who is what, you can approach things in a manner that might work out a little bit better for them, and that might increase positivity if you're speaking their language.
I love the lenses.
What'd you say, Thea?
But I love the lenses.
Because you're agreeing. To the positive
helpful.
point,
We should probably do that as another webinar.
Yeah.
And I think as the positivity thing, the more you're on that train, the more they're going to be on that train. We've all heard, when you feel down, reach up, and when you feel up, reach down. And that is so true. Like, if you're feeling down, don't vent don't vent on that on your team page. Don't vent out in the open. Go to your sponsor, have it out, whatever. But if you're, that's the way to do it, so it doesn't infect everybody else. I certainly do it. Kara knows that. And if you're feeling up, though, reach down and share that with your team. Share all the positives with your team. Encourage them to share the positives. Make your team pages, your team dinners, whatever, positive spaces for that stuff to grow. Because the more you have that surrounding you, the more that's going to help them out. And I think it was Phil Russell at Leadership who said, seriously, post something inspirational every day, whether it's a quote, a story, or something. Like, I'm such a dork, and that stuff makes me feel a whole lot better. And I think if you can start off your team's day feeling like that, then that's a huge win.
Kimmy's very blue.
I know.
But no, that's really good. Oh, sorry, I was reading a question. Sorry, I just totally lost I had something to say and I lost it.
We will do a lenses training, ladies. I think that definitely might have to be our next one. We lost Teresa's voice in there.
Hi, I'm
you're back.
I did. Lenses.
Do you ladies have any other quick questions going on? I know we're a very casual bunch. We're not very formal. So if you guys have any questions or anything for us, we'd love to answer them.
Unmute yourselves too. I want to hear.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, talk. There's not a ton. So if you guys have something now, unmute.
Nobody.
Do I need to play some music?
Anybody?
I got something to say. Bethany, open your mouth.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Do you have a question?
No, I was listening. I was taking in everything you guys were saying.
Okay.
My biggest question was the whole, the whole topic of having negative people on your team and how to lift them up. And I think you really touched on that. Like, that's not something that I normally do, because I'm normally like, you'll be fine. Just suck it up.
Well, that's the orange in me that was like, oh no, I had that happen too, and it was fine. I'm fine. Like, it's kind of like blowing it off. And we definitely need to do the lenses again. I think that is such a huge. I have so many different personalities on my team that I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And I try so hard, and I realize now I have to think about a response before I send it. Thankfully, most of the time it's private message because I'm not too good at thinking on my feet in person. I usually have no filter, and I just say what comes across the scroll bar. But anyway, so just definitely thinking about what hasn't worked in the past, identifying their lens and them. Make yourself, or if you make them feel like you have heard them, that's half the battle. You're almost there, right?
I've gotten some great. Yeah, I'm looking.
We need to mute.
That's me. That was X-Men, sorry.
Oh, it sounded really epic.
Yeah, I did.
I see a question from Lizette, but I definitely think making people feel like they're heard is the biggest thing, because think about how far away your newbies are from home office. They've never been there. They've never met Kenny. They've never met Deanne. They've never met Mark. Like, Mark's a hard person to understand. We've never met him. He can be brutal sometimes. But if you've met Mark, you know that he has your best interest at heart. So, like, when I hear things that Mark says, I'm like, some people on my team probably didn't take that very well, but I know him. So, or I mean, I know I'm like,
FYI, Mark is my inner monologue and what I want to say to everybody on my team on a regular basis.
but not everybody responds well because
Right.
next to Mark is Deanne, and Deanne does know how to say certain things to certain people. So they kind of play off of each other. I think they're an amazing duo. But you are Bethany, and you don't have a Deanne to sweep up the pieces, right? So you have to really think about how to respond to that person's question or that person's gripe.
I think that's a good point too. And don't feel afraid to call in someone else on your team, like another leader or your upline or someone. Like sometimes what you hear from mom is better when you hear it from dad. And I think some people just respond to other people a little bit differently. So don't be afraid if like you're having a difficult situation, you feel like the message isn't getting through. I think that's so important to seek out other members of your team that may be able to give the same message, but maybe are speaking their language a little bit more.
Right.
That's so very true. Sometimes I employ my husband to do that.
Yep.
I do.
Lizette's asking, I have 2 ladies who want to join, but I'm unable to get them to commit to enter the queue. Any ideas?
I would be wondering why they're not committing first.
Yeah, exactly.
Lizette, maybe talk to me about them, but I can't remember. Is it financial? Is it time? Some people it's just want to save money. Okay, I know who that is. That's going to take time. Can't make money appear. We can certainly tell them what their options are or show them different options, I guess, for investing. But I definitely am a firm believer in if someone's not all in, I'm not sure that I want to carry them through their business. I want somebody who wants it for them and doesn't need me to handhold them the whole way. And maybe that sounds a little harsh, but I think, there's some of us that have been doing this and didn't have necessarily, a whole lot of, I don't want to say I didn't have a lot of guidance, but
it's a different time. It was very new for all of us. So
it is.
A lot of us when we were starting, your sponsor probably was only in for like a month or 2. So, I mean, we've all kind of grown together.
Right. I would just be reiterating what you can do for her as her sponsor that, if she decides that she's all in and she has the finances to do it and she has the time to put in to have the outcome that she sees for herself, then you will support her 100% and that you will be there for her and you will take your responsibility to heart. But it's hard to push them. I don't think I've ever had to persuade anybody, other than just answering their questions honestly. But it's so important to be honest. People, I've seen so many girls who just think that it just happens, that we just do this. What they see is the tip of the iceberg, your customers. So you got to be honest with the time that you put in and reinvesting, and it costs money for a good while. You're not paying yourself for a good while if you want to make good money. Just be honest with them. And I think, if they decide it's not for them, then bless and release, and move on to the next thing. Do a mini opportunity call and get a new girl to talk to.
Some will, some won't. Who's next, right? As Deanne would say.
Exactly. I never get that right, so I didn't try.
I think that's the first time I've ever gotten it right, to be honest with you.
If it was wrong, I wouldn't know.
And I think with the money too, I think it's very important to be very honest with people when they start up. It's more than that $5,000. Right. If they really want to make this happen, that it has to be a little bit more than that, because they have to have that money to reinvest to keep going. The last thing you want to do is have someone get into this business and struggle, because that's really hard. One thing that has helped me on the financial front, I think Kara has it posted in her team group. If not, I have it, and you guys can email me for it. It's a copy that Kim Royland's put out of what it takes to pay back your initial investment in terms of time and energy. And it's a little simple one sheet. It's probably a little bit off right now, but the same premise is there. I found that to be really helpful. And, if you've got someone who's excited but scared, it's scary. We're starting our own small business. This is not like, as I always say, a $99 starter kit. This is a lot of money, and this is a lot of time, and it's emotional, and it's scary. And I think acknowledging those feelings is really huge, because I'm still scared sometimes. So I think that's just kind of getting real with them and having it grow organically from there.
Yeah, I will in my opportunity email when I was first sending them out, I said that, and I've taken this out since then, but I had in there how quickly I paid off the initial investment, but I didn't include the secondary investments. Like, I was buying into my inventory heavily, but I kind of put in there that, and I think it might have been maybe a little misleading now that I think back on it. So just be honest, like, I had enough to pay off that initial bill in the first month, but I had also reinvested a good chunk of that. So I was paying that off for a good while. Because it's, you can't survive just on 300 pieces, not if you want to have the big numbers. So just be honest. It goes a long way. Any other questions?
You can talk if you'd like.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself if you'd like.
Okay.
Am I coming up?
I did. And then I was like, wait, should I?
We hear someone.
I hear someone.
Yeah, it's Jenna.
Oh, hi, Jenna.
Baby. So, I have one lady, a local lady who I met actually through my neighbor on one of the military, like buy-sell trade groups. She just asked if there was any LuLaRoe people so that she can go to their house and shop. And I was like, tell her about me, like right now. Tell her right now. And she did. And the lady has come back a couple times, and it's really awesome. And she bought some stuff from me. And she wants to join. But she's worried about what her husband will say if she asks him. And he knew of the clothing and stuff because military women wear it too. And he was like making a joke because he's not like, he's a Southern guy. And so he was saying like, that's old people clothes. And I was like, well, I guess I must be old at 24 because I love those clothes. And so I was just wondering, like, it actually just came to me. Should I, because she really wants to do it. She really wants to sign up. Should I offer to have both of them come and sit down?
Yes.
100%, yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I wish I had time to wait for my husband to get back from deployment, but they're leaving. So, like, then he would also be able to tell from the man point of view of he wasn't okay with it at first because of the investment, but then he, after talking with Megan and having him look at everything that the ladies were saying on the waiting group and everything, like, it would really help her, too, I guess.
Yeah, I would just say to that, like, I mean, my husband doesn't really know much about fashion, so I would just kind of, not, of course, his opinion of it does matter, but I think sometimes men need to see numbers. They're numbers people. And my experience, I was certain my husband was going to say no, and I knew how my husband worked. I still have no idea what his lens is, but I made a spreadsheet. My husband is a business major, or was a business major, and I took a spreadsheet and I put the initial package that we were getting. I put how many pieces we were getting, what the wholesale cost was, and what the potential profit was for the 300 pieces I ordered. So we went to lunch and I presented the whole thing kind of like a business plan, because that's what he needed to see. He needed to see what were we actually getting ourselves into. And worst case scenario, we were gonna, if we sold all of our pieces and didn't have to send anything back, we could make $7,000 off this investment. That's a profit of $7,000. So maybe you need to help her put something together like that. Hey, if you get this initial package, this is what it costs, but this is what it's worth. And see if maybe the numbers thing will help him. That definitely helped my husband. And by the time I got done with my presentation to my husband in Subway, by the way, he was like, okay, well, do they sell shoes? And I was like, no. He's like, well, they should, but I think we should do it. And I was like, really? Like, so surprised, but I had to speak his language. It's the same thing. You can use these lenses across the board. I had to speak his language so that he could see. I couldn't just say, hey babe, like, can we order these clothes because I really like them, and I want to have like first dibs at everything, and I also probably sell some of it. Like, he was not going to get the consumer mind that I had at that point. So I had to tailor it to him so that he understood what it meant for our family and what it meant for us as an investment. That's something you need to look at. I don't know if I still have that. It would be different now anyway, but it's really simple to just put that all together for him. I think on a spreadsheet would be, ask her what kind of brain he has. Like, does he need to see numbers, or maybe he needs to be convinced, bring him to a pop-up.
Yeah. I was going to ask her, like, you know, just host an in-home. I have really good in-home incentives right now anyway.
Yeah. Tell him the profit you made on a party. You know, even it doesn't even have to be one he's at. Just show him like your past parties and like how many pieces you sold and how much you're reinvesting, and just talk to him that way. Sometimes I feel like men are a little different. I know there's a lot of women that think that way too, but my husband's definitely in that mindset that he needs to see numbers and understand it from a business standpoint, not just from a hobby standpoint.
That's how my husband was too. He definitely, like, I took an example of the onboarding package because it wasn't going to be the one I was getting, but they're like a small range between them.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, I could potentially make back the initial investment just by selling these styles, and the rest of it would be a profit.
Right. And that's a great way to look at it. Yeah. No, you know what you're doing. You got this. I would just have confidence with what you're doing and just maybe look at it from a different perspective for him so that he sees what he wants to see. We all know that this is a successful business. We all know that. Some people need to see it from their viewpoint. So, you know, he may be thinking of it as something different. Like, you never know. Men's brains works funny. So he could be thinking, well, this is going to take all her time away from me, you know, like, or, well, how's she going to take care of the kids, or like that kind of thing, you know? So think about it from that standpoint. And also don't be afraid to throw in there what it's done for you and your family. He needs to see why you do it, you know? And I think we always have to tell her why. So you got it. You know what you're doing. I love your hair.
Thank you.
Good question.
Anyone else, ladies, before we wrap it up for the night? No.
So I'll ask a question. It's kind of something I've been talking to Megan about. So when responding to teammates who do have a negative mindset about things, and just to bring a lovely example up, Halloween leggings. I had several teammates that were horribly upset about that. I tried to address it without sounding too robotic and too much of a programmed like LuLaRoe response. But how do you balance that, the response we should give, which honestly is the best response of it's not going to make or break you. You have tons of other stuff that will still sell great and you don't need these, but make it, I don't know, somehow, like, I know the 4 lenses would play a big part into it, but how to make it not sound so robotic, still kind of tailor to them, but like make it come across to them. Like, cause my girls were very resistant until they got Halloween leggings and still have them sitting in their inventory. And then they're like, oh, well, you were right. So like, how in the moment do you give them that response, but I don't know, not sound robotic, not sound like this is this little speech blurb I've been given. Here you are.
I think give them the opportunity to vent.
I've done that, but then it just keeps going.
Like privately?
We'll try to preempt some of that. So before any capsules are even released, if I just know the season's coming, I talk about capsules and how they're coming out, and there's a good chance you're not going to get them. And that's just the way it is. And this is what you can do instead. So I tell people to start preparing for Halloween back in end of August, September. Halloween's going to be coming. At some point, they're going to give out some leggings. Some of us are not going to get them. So start making your own collection. Start putting aside some of your orange stuff so that you can have something for Halloween when it comes. And I found that was really good, that when people didn't get them, they're like, it's cool because I just made all these Halloween outfits out of my regular Amelia's. So we did things like that to kind of preempt it. And then once it did happen, it's like, all right, some of us didn't get them, and that's really sad. I'm sorry about that. Who has some that would want to, if you want a pair for yourself, you can buy from one of your peers here, or, you know, get going on your other stuff. Let's get ready for the next holiday. So that's kind of how I take care of those types of things, is I like to do it ahead of time, like see which storm is brewing before the storm actually comes, and then you just sail right through.
Such a good idea, Thea.
And I think it's okay to sometimes admit that situations aren't great. You know, you want to give the reasoning behind the reason the situation isn't great, but it's okay, especially privately, to say, yeah, you know what, it kind of sucks we didn't get them. That, you know, but I have faith that they're going to figure it out for next time. And I think, you know, it kind of goes into that found, you know, method that Teresa talked a lot about. We've all been there. We've all, you know, I remember feeling the first time I didn't get Halloween leggings the first time around last year, I was mad and upset and angry and all those things. And, you know, at some point you're going to start speaking from experience, and people will see that. And, you know, it's okay to say, like, I get it. It's not the greatest situation. And I'm sorry you feel like that. But the key is then to understand and talk it through and give the reasons why it's going to get better, and then try to nip it in the bud before going forward. But it's okay to have that conversation, because a lot of times, again, we've all been through it. We felt that way too. You know, it's just kind of nipping it in the bud after that.
Awesome.
Wait, can I ask one question?
Yes.
This isn't about teammates necessarily. It's not about teammates. So Thea knows this. I have a wonderful husband who hates LuLaRoe. How have you, and he's like a real numbers guy, so it's not like he's not seeing the money coming in. How do you guys, or did anybody in this group have to sell their husband on it? Or not necessarily sell him on it, but how did you I don't know, maybe help him change his mindset and see the good in the company?
Get him to an event. Get him to an event. Get him to an event.
Yeah.
Inspire training, cruise, home office tour, get him out to California, leadership, whatever. Get him on the webinar. Get him to understand, you know, who the family is and who the company is. Get him involved. Get him just carrying your bags, even though it stinks to do that. Show him. You know,
I think that might be why he hates it. I don't know.
I would definitely say, from my experience, my husband was on board with it being my business at the beginning and my stuff, and I was doing everything. I took him, we qualified for cruise last year, and we went in February, and we had some really amazing people, not even on our team, sit with us for a good amount of time and talk to us, both of us, her and her husband. It was Lisa Jones and Rob, and they sat with us and talked to us about what we were doing. They told us how awesome we were, it's just always good to hear. They lifted us up, and my husband started to see, like, you know, that this was more than just a hobby for me, and this had potential for more than just really awesome income, but for changing our lives. And from that point on, when we came home, it was our business. It wasn't just mine. And I will say that when I let him start helping me invoice and start shipping stuff, he stopped and he said, I have no idea how you did all this on your own. And that was like an aha moment. Like, I was having huge online parties and doing all of that work and loading my car and unloading my car and packing up and getting new shipments and hanging everything. He helps me with every bit of that now. And just him seeing how much I was putting into it, and then also getting that touch of the LuLaRoe Kool-Aid did not hurt. So maybe you could have, like, go out to dinner with your sponsor's Thea, right? You live close to her. So got to dinner with Thea and Al, and like
been there, done that.
No,
I was like, please.
Bethany, you're gonna just be going in there and just converting him.
I know.
We'll
It's
go out
just
again.
he's just a hard. I don't know. He's a hard egg to crack. So, to speak to what you were just saying, T, he is really involved. Like more involved, I think, than a lot of women's husbands are. Just because that's kind of the role that we have. I don't know. He's just a very involved spouse in everything with childcare, everything. So I'm not upset in that way because he does the work in an obligatory manner. It's like, okay, it's time to invoice. Let's go downstairs.
That's
And sometimes it's literally like he won't speak a word because he's so angry that he's there doing it, but he's doing it because he loves his wife, and this is how you show that you love your wife. But it's more like, how do you address that in somebody's heart? Because I have been molded in a lot of ways. Like I started off selling LuLaRoe, and I was like, all right, this is a part-time gig. I need to make a certain amount of money, and I just like I have to do this. So this is the job that I'm going to do. I like the company. I like the brand of clothing, and I like the people I've interacted with. Moving on, but as I've continued to sell and I've seen different opportunities come to me because of it. And also, I've just been softened. I've been softened by the company, and I've been softened by my experiences with people. It's a humbling job to have, and I'm constantly being challenged in a way that I feel like is God trying to improve me because I'm not patient and I'm not kind enough. So this helps me do that. But like, what I'm trying to say is, like, how do you get somebody else to sort of see the transformation that can happen with LuLaRoe without them being willing to go and get on a plane and go to convention or something? Sorry, we're watching X-Men. It's really, really loud. Sorry.
I'm not sure that I have like an actual answer for that. Like I feel like you've stumped me. Like my husband's in the room, so I'm not sure. Chad, did you hear anything that Bethany just said about getting her husband to kind of feel the culture? Do you have anything? I'm going to let him think for a second, but maybe Thea have something to kind of throw in. I'm going to throw myself on mute and see. So he said you really have to just experience it, and that's really hard when you can't just get him on a plane. Are you going to cruise?
Well, I haven't qualified, no. So Megan Krasner invited me as a guest, but obviously that's not Tom. Maybe he should go with Megan. I think he'd agree to that.
That's funny. Maybe Kimmy and I'm gonna talk to Chad and put myself on mute. Maybe Kimmy and Thea can chime in a little bit.
Go ahead.
I really think trying to get Tom to go to an event would be really huge.
Yeah, and I just think the more that you can kind of get him, I know it's hard. My husband's really involved in a lot of the things, and I think the more he saw the business grow and the opportunity that we had, that seemed to really, he's a numbers guy too, and I think that really seemed to help him get on board. It took some time, but it definitely, the more he helps, the more it seems to catch on, because he's around it more when he helps.
Even a Super Saturday. We have one that might be coming up soon in Maine, and I think that we're planning on having a guide panel. So there's an opportunity there that should be coming soon.
Okay, that might be a good idea because it's local enough that he would actually maybe make the trek if he could find somebody to watch them. He still would be like, I don't want to spend my Saturday going up to Maine to go sit in a room and talk to LuLaRoe cultists.
Can you hang out with us and get a lobster roll?
That sounds amazing. I'm always up for a lobster roll, but he's just been, I think that's been my biggest challenge with the business is that, how we talk about like positive energy and being around a lot of positive people and giving that to your group. And it's hard to do that when there's such an energy suck at home. I mean, recently, like literally recently, there's been a huge change in working together. Like when we're packaging and stuff, he's not like dead cold anymore. So now he's actually starting to have conversations with me again. But it's really hard. Like, like I said, he does the work and it's an obligation that he fulfills. And then, when 10 o'clock hits and that's the end of the obligation and he's met it, he's out of there. Like, that's it. So he's like the greenest green that ever greened. He's like the most practical, he's just an engineer. He's just an engineer. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, so that's been the hardest thing to deal with. And I don't really know. I mean, trying to get him, I guess, slowly to these events is a possibility if I can actually make it happen. I just didn't know if there's anything I could do on like the home front other than,
Can
I
I
don't
ask,
know.
do y'all, does he ever do like the fun stuff with you? I know on Halloween night I took my kids around with my husband, and he was actually getting excited for me to pass out cards versus people just coming to our house, him invoicing, him unloading and unloading. I think that kind of changed his thought too, because by the end of the night he was like, "Oh look, there's another person. Oh look, there's another person," and so that kind of changed his idea when it was the more fun stuff versus the shipping and packaging and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, he's here when I do like pop-ups and stuff, if I have people here, and he's really social and you'd be surprised because he sounds terrible the way I'm describing him, but he's very social and likes to engage with people. So he chats up my customers for the most part when I'm checking people out, and I think he enjoys that. He's still, I think the way he looks at it is like, from an efficiency standpoint, you're not making enough from this business on an hourly wage basis for it to be worth all of this effort. It's invading our lives and it's too much. And I feel like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it also has growth potential that's insane. That is insane. Also, I'm really good at it and I really like it. So that's like where I'm kind of at, is like he participates, he does some of the fun stuff, he does some of the crappy stuff too. But he's just like, he's dug in his heels to the next degree. And I don't know, other than like trying to get him involved here and there in get-togethers and hopefully rub off on him. I don't know. I'm just looking for any advice I can get.
Somebody just messaged on the chat to watch the Yasi Lataha speech from convention. I think that would be a great thing for you two to watch together. But I think that I can probably talk Chad into doing maybe one of these Thursday night webinars. We can do the Blue Rose.
Yeah.
I think that, we kind of need to track, but I think that's a really good point, and we'll write it down for, maybe we can do a LuLaBro webinar. I think that's what we should do with that. And maybe we can get somebody special on, like Sam. I can probably get Sam on it. That would help.
100%. So we'll add it to our list.
Awesome.
All right, ladies, I think we're going to wrap up for tonight. Thank you guys all for joining us, and we're excited to bring this series for you. Hopefully it helps you guys to hear a few different voices from different teams. And we are recording this, so we'll post the recording.
We love you so much.
Yes, you guys are awesome, seriously.
We love you.
The fact that you all are all on here, and there was such good response to us just putting this out 2 days ago, means so much to us, because you do, like, this is for us right now. It's about you and the people that step up and want to learn. They want to be learn-it-alls. We just eat that up. Like, that inspires me so much. So, thank you for coming on here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kimmy. I had to get that out. I'm orange. So.
You can always interrupt me.
Deal with it. I'm an orange. I did a shirt that says I'm an orange.
That's right.
Get t-shirts. Thank you all for coming.
I can't keep calm. I'm an orange.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good night.
Good night.